What happens to a team when communication breaks down? Is it confusion? Is it conflict? Or is it something even more dangerous? Silence. Because when communication stops, momentum stops. And when momentum stops, mission suffers. Hello, my friends. I'm Larry Law Sr., and this is another edition of Wednesday Wisdom Live. Whether you're joining us live or catching a replay, I'm glad you're here. This is your midweek reset, a place where leaders like you come to recharge, refocus, and rise in your leadership journey. And as we get started, please take a moment and reflect on this question. What kind of leader are you becoming to be? If you've never taken time to assess your leadership strengths and blind spots, I've created a leadership assessment designated to give you clarity at any point during this session. Simply comment leadership, and I'll send you the link. And if you haven't done so already, hit that like button, subscribe, and the notification bell so you don't miss any of my posts. Today, we're diving into the law of communication. Interaction fuels action. Great teams are not silent. They are talking teams, clarifying teams, listening teams. Let me walk you through 4 leadership truths about communication that will strengthen your influence and energize your team. Point number 1, communication sets the tone. If I had to name one purpose instrument of leadership, it would be communication. During my time in the military, communication wasn't optional. It was survival. I remember doing field training exercises when we were testing line of sight microwave radio systems. The equipment was complex. The environment was unpredictable. If one team failed to relay coordinates accurately, the entire mission would collapse. And here's what I learned. Unclear communication don't just create inconvenience. It creates risk. As a leader, be consistent. Say what you mean what you say. Clear. If your team doesn't know the objective, they cannot execute. Be courteous. Respect builds openness because your communication sets the emotional climate for your organization. If you are reactive, your team becomes defensive. If you are vague, your team becomes confused. If you are steady and clear, your team becomes confident. Leadership is not about talking more. It's about communicating better. Point number 2, communication must flow both ways. Strong leaders don't just want yes men. They want truth tellers. Maxwell emphasizes communication from teammates to the leader. The best ideal should win, not the highest title. At First Home Alliance, I've learned that some of our most impactful improvements did not come from me or my board, but sometimes the ideals came from counselors, volunteers, and even other staff members. I remember one instance where one of the counselors challenged part of the intake process. Instead of resisting, we listened, we brainstormed, we refined the system. The results, more effective service, clear expectations, better outcomes for our families. If communication only flows downward, innovation dies. But when communication flows upward, ownership rises. Let me challenge you. When was the last time someone in your organization felt safe enough to disagree with you? Now that's leadership maturity. Point 3, among teammates, interaction fuels action. Have you ever seen what happens when departments stop talking to each other? Tasks get duplicated. Deadlines get missed. Frustration builds. Maxwell shares a humorous example about messages that can become distorted when passed from person to person. What starts as an observation of Haley's comet turned into the president appearing in the gym where Bill Haley and the comics. It's funny until it happens to your organization. The same thing happens when playing chess. Coordination is everything. You can have powerful queens, 2 rooks, strong bishops, but if your pieces are not connected, if you're not protecting and supporting one another, you lose. I've seen talented teams fail, not because they lack skills, but because they lack synchronization. Communication connects the pieces. I can remember the illustration Maxwell gives about horses. One horse can pull about 4,500 pounds. You may think 2 horses together will pull 9,000. However, aligned and trained together, they can pull 12,000 pounds. Now that's unity. And unity is built on communication. Point 4, communication with the public requires unity. Now let me talk about communication outside the team. Maxwell reminds us of the 3 R's: receptive, responsive, and realistic. At my organization, when we communicate with clients, donors, or community partners, unity matters. Internally, we can debate, we can brainstorm, we can challenge ideas, but once we step outside that room, we must be aligned. Nothing damages credibility faster than public division. In the military, once a decision is made, we move forward as one unit. We could have intense internal discussions, but when it was time to execute, we were unified. The public doesn't need to see your internal debate. They need to see your unity. Unity builds trust. Unity builds credibility. And credibility builds influence. Are you communicating or assuming? Are you listening or just waiting to speak? Are you creating clarity or contributing to confusion? Because here's the truth. Silence breeds speculation. Speculation breeds division. And division destroys momentum. But communication's clear, consistent, respectful communication builds culture. The law of communication teaches us that interaction fuels actions. From leader to team, from team to leader, among teammates and between the team and the public, communications sets the tone, invites home ownership, connects the pieces, creates unity, and unity multiplies. Leadership is influence, but influence without communication is ineffective. So the question becomes, what kind of communicator are you becoming? Are you the leader who clarifies the mission? Are you the one who leaves others guessing? Are you building bridges of understanding or walls of assumption? Because legacy leaders do not just speak, they connect, they listen, they align, they communicate with purpose. Until next time, stay wise, stay disciplined, and stay intentional. When preparation meets purpose, opportunity has no choice but to follow. If today's message resonated with you, your next step is clarity. I invite you to take the leadership assessment. It will help you identify where you are, uncover your strengths, and reveal your next move. Simply comment leadership, and we'll send you the link. Keep living the laws. I'm Larry Laws Sr., challenging you to think before you move and to make your next move your best move.